Hey traders, Raghi here, and in this free video we're going to cover, now that we have about a week under our belt of the micros, I think how important these micros are going to be to traders who've been wanting to trade futures or even day trade futures. So let's keep this in mind. Up until now, we've been able to trade the E-minis. And again, I love intraday trading the E-minis. My typical time frame for this is starting at 9:30 Eastern and going to about 11:30. So my day trading window is about 2 hours. That to me is the magic hour for setting up the trades, getting in, and then deciding whether or not we might have a runner on our hands. So usually when traders get into a micro futures contract, there's a lot of trepidation because traders have in the back of their mind, I could lose more than it's in my account. I mean, all those things are true because of the margin. But it's funny to me that when you look at futures nowadays, most popularly traded futures contracts trade about 23, say 22 and a half hours, almost 23-ish hours a day. They're as close to a 24-hour market as we're going to get. So that access actually helps decrease risk. Because think about it for a moment. Let's say you're long the Dow and you're long Boeing, and some bad news comes out at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can get out of the Dow. Let's say bad news comes out at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You can get out of the Dow. Good luck doing anything with that Boeing position, right? So I think some of the concern for that, while technically merited, really doesn't have the same place in the markets now that we have these nearly 24-hour, call it 22 and 3/4 hours trading in these futures contracts. So now comes the mini. Now there are three elements to risk, the way I look at it. One, of course, is your size, your position size. Another is volatility, right? That's going to be a big part of your risk. And the other is where your stop loss is. Now, I can't dictate volatility. I can choose to not engage it, but some symbols are just wilder than others. Some symbols just have wilder trading ranges than others. I can control my size, and I can control where my stop is. Now, the per point value, you could kind of factor into the volatility aspect and the stop aspect, right? How much each point represents, how many contracts can you trade, how much margin do you need? And so now that there is a smaller unit, a lot of traders who were uncomfortable or simply could not trade, even on day trading margin, multiple, say, NASDAQ E-minis because of risk or margin requirement, now can because it's a smaller unit, a much smaller unit, smaller commission, right? So I'm not trying to advocate for the contract, but this contract has addressed a lot of the problems that many of our members have, which is, Rag, I get that you're getting into multiple contracts at potentially a breakout or a correction or retreat, but I can't. I'm in, say, one contract or maybe two, two contracts. And that means that I can take the first profit target and the second, right? And sometimes I'm not even comfortable doing that. Sometimes I've just got the one and I can go to the first profit target. The mistakes that a one lot trade encourages mostly happens on the trade or profit management side, where a trader knows that they've hit an initial profit target, but they don't want to realize it because what happens? Well, the pig in the head, that's what I call it, says the trade could keep going. Just hang in there. And then what sometimes inevitably happens? The market rolls over and you're right back at break even. So the pig in the head says, well, just hang on. And if we get back up to where we were, well, this time we'll go ahead and realize a profit. And then this happens. And then the pig in the head says, well, let's get back to break even and then we'll go ahead and get out. And then this happens. And you end up with a trade that could have been profitable, all right, exit with a win, and then you end up with a loss. Not unusual at all. In fact, some of you may have actually experienced this before. All right, so having multiple contracts for when you want to scale out and then scale out again, you can. Or here's another problem traders have. They want to take profits off way too early. And then they'll always say, well, Rag, I took profit too early. If you have to scratch that itch, if you have a micro, go ahead and take one off the table, and that might mean you have 2 or 3 still left, right? Because of the smaller unit. So when you're like, Rog, I've got to take something off the table here. I've been trading so long and I get nervous about the market turning around on me. I don't want to experience a winner turning into a loser. Okay, pay yourself, move to a break even, and allow those other micros to keep working as we see how high is high. So you can see that it satisfies a lot of issues. All right, so what we did today was a classic. We've talked about this in these videos many times. It was a breach. This one breached and never looked back. We did have an interesting setup on NQ, which I'll talk about in the premium video, where we had the breach. Terrific. We had a retest, but we did not have the retreat. And there's really 2 things that you can do here at these retests, but really one that I really think is a terrific opportunity, especially for you options traders. So we'll talk about that in the premium video, but think about this. Once the breach occurs, what kind of doors does it open to follow the market movement? This is like the market tipping its hand, and we were looking to the upside all day, right from the open, because of the way in which we were moving along the point of control, or what we call the V profile study. So we'll talk about that and more, but think about what these E-mini micros might do for your contract. If you're one of those traders who's been on the sidelines saying, Roggy, I'd really like to day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, Dow, this particular contract is going to open that door for you. I'm very excited about what it's doing for our traders right now. We're going to continue to day trade actively into summer. In fact, that's where a lot of my attention is going to go. So think about that. I hope to see you in the chat room. In the meanwhile, enjoy the videos. Hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next update.